You ever wonder what 3 bullets sound like when they're the only thing standing between 60 men and a German tank? I found out on December 17th, 1944, in a frozen Belgian crossroads town called Bastogne, where the snow turned red and the 101st Airborne held a perimeter that shouldn't have existed. We'd been surrounded for 3 days, no supplies, no reinforcements, no way out. I was a medic, not a rifleman. Carried a .45 pistol I'd never fired in combat. Had exactly 3 bullets left after trading the rest for morphine with a wounded paratrooper 2 days prior. The morphine ran out that morning. The bullets were all I had left. And then the King Tiger came around the corner with 30 SS infantry behind it, and I had to make a choice no medic should ever make. My name is Michael Garrett, 22 years old, farm kid from Iowa who joined up after Pearl Harbor thinking I'd help people, not kill them. Spent 18 months learning how to keep men alive in impossible conditions. By December 1944, I'd been attached to the 101st Airborne for 6 weeks, not because I was qualified, because the division's own medics were getting killed faster than the Army could replace them. I volunteered. Seemed like the right thing to do at the time. Nobody expected Bastogne to matter. It was just a road junction in the Ardennes forest, 7 roads meeting in the middle of nowhere, Belgium. But when the Germans launched their surprise offensive on December 16th, punching through American lines with 3 armies and 500,000 men, those 7 roads became the most important piece of ground in Europe. Whoever controlled Bastogne controlled the highway network. Whoever controlled the highways controlled the offensive. So the 101st got trucked in to hold it. 10,000 paratroopers against an entire German corps. We were supposed to hold for 48 hours until armor arrived. We held for a week. I got to Bastogne on December 19th, riding in the back of a supply truck that took artillery fire the whole way in. The town was already cut off. German forces had closed the ring the night before. No supplies getting in. No wounded getting out. Just 10,000 Americans and maybe 3,000 Belgian civilians trapped in a shrinking perimeter, while German artillery pounded us around the clock. The aid station was a cellar under a blown-out hotel near the town square, packed wall to wall with wounded, boys with frostbite so bad their toes fell off when you pulled their boots, shrapnel wounds going gangrenous because we had no sulfur powder left, head injuries, gut shots, amputations done with a carpenter's saw because the surgical kits were gone. The doc in charge, Captain Hayes, took one look at me and my aid bag and said, "You're all we got. Make it count." I worked that cellar for 2 days straight. No sleep, no food. Just an endless parade of broken bodies and screaming. Used the last of my morphine on a kid from Chicago who'd taken an 88mm fragment through his pelvis. He was maybe 19. Kept asking for his mother. I held his hand until he stopped breathing. That was the morning of the 21st. Same morning, I traded my last 6 pistol rounds to a wounded paratrooper named Kowalski for his 2 remaining morphine syrettes. He said he wouldn't need them. Showed me the sucking chest wound under his jacket that was filling his lung with blood. Said he'd rather die easy than live hard. I made the trade, used both syrettes before noon. December 22nd, the Germans sent in a surrender demand, white flag, formal document, said we were surrounded, outnumbered, doomed, asked us to surrender to avoid needless bloodshed. Our acting commander, General McAuliffe, sent back a one-word reply: nuts. The entire division laughed. We were freezing, starving, bleeding, and we told the German army to go to hell. Felt good for about 10 minutes. Then the shelling started again, and we remembered where we were. By December 23rd, we'd been pushed back to a half-mile perimeter around the town center. The Germans were probing our lines constantly, testing for weak spots, finding them. Every position was undermanned. Every foxhole had dead men in it from the last attack. We were running out of everything: ammunition, bandages, hope. The artillery never stopped, just this constant thunder that made your teeth hurt and your hands shake even when you weren't scared. I was in the aid station when the runner came down. 17 years old, face gray with frostbite, said they needed a medic at the northeast roadblock. Said it casual, like he was asking for a cup of coffee. I grabbed what was left of my aid bag, maybe 10 bandages, some safety pins, a roll of tape, no morphine, no sulfur, no plasma, and my .45 with 3 bullets I'd kept hidden in case I needed to trade them later. The roadblock was 200 yards from the aid station. Felt like 2 miles. Had to run hunched over because German snipers owned the rooftops. Reached the position just as the shelling stopped. That's when you knew something bad was coming. The silence before contact is worse than the noise. Lets you hear your own heartbeat. Lets you think. The roadblock was barely a roadblock. 2 burned-out trucks pushed together, some rubble, a .30 caliber machine gun with maybe 50 rounds left, and 12 men. That's all. 12 paratroopers holding a position meant for a platoon, covering 60 yards of open street that led straight into town. Their sergeant, a guy named Winters from Pennsylvania, said they'd lost 8 men that morning. Said the Germans were regrouping in the woods a quarter-mile out. Said we were the last thing between them and the aid station. I set up behind the trucks and waited. Treated 2 men with frostbite, one with a hand wound that was infected. Used the last of my tape to secure a splint. Nobody talked much. We all knew what was coming. Could hear it in the distance. Engines. Lots of them. They came at us just after noon. King Tiger tank. 60 tons of armor with an 88mm gun that could punch through a building. Behind it, maybe 30 SS infantry in winter camouflage, moving in a wedge formation like they'd done this 1,000 times before. Because they had. These weren't conscripts. These were veterans from the Eastern Front. They knew how to kill. The .30 cal opened up, tracers bouncing off the tank's armor like sparks. The infantry scattered, took cover, returned fire. The tank's machine gun came alive, chewing through the rubble we were hiding behind. The sergeant was screaming for a bazooka team, but the bazooka team was dead. Been dead since yesterday. We had nothing that could stop that tank. Nothing except 12 rifles, a machine gun, and whatever God gave us. The tank fired. The 88mm round hit the truck to my left, and the explosion lifted me off the ground. Couldn't hear anything after that, just ringing. Saw Winters go down with shrapnel in his leg, crawled to him, pulled him behind what was left of the truck. His femoral artery was nicked, blood pumping out with every heartbeat. I had no tourniquet, used my belt, pulled it tight enough to make him scream. No morphine to give him, just pressure and prayer. The machine gunner was dead, slumped over his weapon with the back of his head missing. The other men were firing and falling back, firing and falling back. The German infantry was advancing, 50 yards, 40. The tank kept coming. Its gun traversed toward the aid station, toward the cellar with 200 wounded men who couldn't run. I picked up the dead gunner's rifle. Don't know why. Medics don't fight. Geneva Convention. Red Cross armband. But none of that mattered anymore because if that tank reached the square, everyone in that cellar was dead. The wounded, the nurses, Captain Hayes, all of them. 200 men who'd survived everything the war threw at them, dying because I followed rules. I left Winters behind the truck, told him to keep pressure on his leg, ran toward the tank. Didn't think about it. Just moved. The German infantry saw me coming. A lone American with a rifle running straight at them through open ground. They thought I was insane. Maybe I was. They started shooting, rounds kicking up snow all around me. Felt one tug my jacket, another crease my helmet. Kept running, reached the tank's left side, climbed onto the tread. The crew couldn't depress their guns low enough to hit me. The infantry couldn't shoot without hitting their own tank. I was in a dead zone, 10 seconds where nobody could kill me. I pulled my .45, 3 bullets, looked up and saw the commander's hatch, closed, buttoned up, impenetrable. Then it opened, just a crack. The tank commander trying to see where I was. Stupid. One stupid mistake. I shoved the pistol barrel through the gap, pulled the trigger 3 times, didn't aim, didn't think, just fired until the slide. Locked back empty. The tank lurched, stopped, sat there idling with black smoke starting to pour from the hatch. I jumped off, ran back toward the roadblock. The German infantry was frozen, confused. Their tank wasn't moving. Their commander wasn't responding. Just 30 seconds of chaos where nobody knew what to do. That's when our artillery came in. The weather had cleared enough for spotter planes. For the first time in a week, American guns had targets they could see. The whole street erupted. Airburst shells, tree bursts. The German infantry tried to retreat, but there was nowhere to go. The ones who survived ran back into the woods. The tanks sat there burning. Later, we found out all 5 crew members were dead. One of my bullets had hit the commander in the face. He'd fallen backward onto the gunner. The gunner panicked and hit the wrong lever, flooded the engine compartment with fuel. The tank cooked itself. We held the roadblock. Winters survived. So did 6 others. 5 dead. But we held. The Germans didn't try that position again. 3 days later, Patton's Third Army broke through the German lines and relieved Bastogne. By then, we'd been surrounded for 7 days, lost nearly 1,000 men killed, 2,000 wounded. But we held. I went back to the aid station after the battle. Captain Hayes found me in the corner, shaking, couldn't stop. He asked if I was hit. I said no. He asked what happened. I told him. He was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "You did what you had to do. You saved 200 men. That's what matters." But I couldn't stop seeing that hatch open, that split second where a man made a mistake and died for it. I was a medic, took an oath to preserve life. Instead, I took 5. Doesn't matter that they were enemy. Doesn't matter that they would have killed us all. I still see their faces. Don't even know what they looked like, but I see them anyway. Every night for 80 years. I kept the empty pistol for the rest of the war. Never reloaded it. Carried it across the Rhine. Carried it into Germany. Carried it home to Iowa in August '45. It's in a box in my closet next to my discharge papers and a picture of Winters, who made it home to Pennsylvania and sent me a Christmas card every year until he died in '73. People ask if I'm proud of what I did at Bastogne, if I do it again. I tell them I don't know. Pride's too simple a word for what happened in that street. I saved men by killing men. Broke every rule I'd sworn to uphold. became the thing I joined to stop. War does that. Turns medics into soldiers, turns farmers into killers, turns boys into ghosts. I think about those 3 bullets more than anything else from the war. 3 pieces of brass that cost 5 men their lives and saved 200. The arithmetic doesn't make it right, doesn't make it wrong either, just makes it war. The thing you carry forever, the weight that never leaves. Winters used to say we won at Basilone because we refused to quit, because we held when holding was impossible. Maybe he's right. Maybe that's what victory looks like when you strip away the propaganda and the speeches. Just exhausted men doing impossible things because the alternative was worse. The town square in Basilone has a monument now. I've seen pictures. Lists all the American units that fought there, all the men who died. It's beautiful. Clean white stone with perfect lettering. Looks like something noble happened there, like we were heroes. But we weren't heroes. We were just scared kids trying not to die, trying to keep each other alive one more day. And sometimes that meant picking up a rifle when you'd sworn you never would. Sometimes it meant making choices that haunt you for 80 years. Sometimes it meant becoming something you never wanted to be. I'm 93 years old now, last surviving member of my aid station. When I die, the memory of that tank commander dies with me. The memory of those 3 bullets. The memory of the moment I stopped being a medic and became a soldier. Maybe that's how it should be. Maybe some things aren't meant to be remembered, but I'm remembering them now. For Winters, for the 12 men who held that roadblock, for the 5 Germans who died because I made a choice. This is the battle they talk about but never tell you the truth of. This is Basilone. This is what 3 bullets cost. This is what I became to keep 200 men alive. And I'd do it again. God help me, I'd do it again.